The international airport came alive with noise. Boarding calls echoing through the halls, the low hum of conversation, the soft drag of suitcases across polished floors. In the middle of that morning rush walked Ava Richardson, early 40s, calm eyes, elegant posture. She wasn't dressed like someone special, just dark jeans, a beige blazer, and a simple tote bag over her shoulder. To the untrained eye, she looked like any other traveler trying to make her morning flight. She moved toward the priority check-in lane with her phone in hand, scanning her digital boarding pass. Before she could step forward, a tall TSA officer stepped in front of her. His badge read D. Daniels. His chest puffed up as if stopping her made his morning interesting. "Ma'am," he said, voice cold and authoritative. "This lane's for priority passengers only. Economy check-in is over there." Ava stopped, offered a polite smile, and replied, "I'm exactly where I should be." Daniels raised an eyebrow, glancing at her worn sneakers, plain purse, and natural hair pulled back in a bun. "Right," he said with a smirk. "And I'm the President of the United States. Let's see your ID." Ava calmly handed him her ID and boarding pass. He barely looked at them before waving his colleague over, a younger woman named Lisa. "Lisa, run this for verification," he ordered. "Looks sketchy." Lisa frowned. It looks valid." "Just run it," he snapped. Passengers behind Ava were starting to murmur. A man in a business suit muttered loudly, "Some people just can't accept rules." A woman shook her head. "Always trying to sneak in somewhere they don't belong." Ava heard every word. Her calm expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes, a quiet fire. She'd been through this before too many times. It wasn't new, but it still stung every single time. Lisa returned after scanning the ID. "It's real," she said quietly. "No issues." Daniels ignored her, crossing his arms. "We're going to do a random secondary screening anyway," he said. "Standard procedure." Ava sighed, placing her bag on the table. "Of course," she said softly. She removed her shoes, belt, and blazer, doing as she was told. Lisa handled the screening gently, whispering, "I'm sorry, ma'am. He's difficult sometimes." Ava smiled faintly. "That's all right. He's not the first person to underestimate me." Daniels overheard and scoffed. "You people always got something to say. Maybe if you dressed like you belonged here, people would treat you different." The air in the line went still. Someone gasped quietly. Ava looked up, meeting his eyes, and not with anger, but with something far more powerful. Composure. The kind of silence that makes the other person feel small. She slowly put her shoes back on, collected her ID, and said in a voice so calm it sent chills, "You just made a very expensive mistake." Daniels rolled his eyes. "Yeah? Sure thing, lady." She gave a small nod, like someone who already knew the ending of a story everyone else hadn't read yet, and walked away toward her gate. Lisa watched her go, uneasy, something inside her whispering that she had just witnessed the beginning of something big. An hour later, Daniels was back at his post, bragging to another officer. "You should have seen her. Walked in like she owned the place." He laughed, tapping his radio. "Bet she's still sitting in economy, sipping her cheap coffee." But at that same moment, in a different part of the terminal, Ava sat quietly in a first-class lounge, her phone buzzing with messages from her assistant. "Ma'am, the partnership meeting with Delta's executive board is set for this afternoon," the message read. She typed back, "Make sure it's still at Terminal 3. I'll handle it personally." The camera, if visualized, would follow her gaze as she looked out the window at the runways. The planes lined up, the bustle of ground crew below, all of it part of the world she had built. The irony made her smile. Daniels had no idea, but he was about to find out. 2 hours later, the airport security office was unusually quiet. Daniels sat scrolling through his phone, bored, sipping a half-cold coffee. Lisa was at her desk, watching the TV mounted on the wall. Suddenly her eyes widened. "Daniels," she said, her voice shaky. You might want to see this." "What now?" he groaned, not looking up. Lisa pointed at the TV. "That woman from this morning. She's on CNN." Daniels frowned, glanced at the screen, and then froze. The news ticker read, "Ava Richardson, CEO of Aurora Air, pulls $4.9 billion investment from Delta partnership after discrimination incident." He blinked, not believing what he was seeing. The footage switched to a press conference. Ava standing behind a podium, reporters crowding around her. She wore a dark business suit, her expression calm but resolute. Earlier today, she said, I experienced something that reminded me why I started Aurora Air. No matter how successful you become, some people will still look at you and see less. So I've decided to withdraw Aurora's current partnership investments with Delta-operated terminals until they review their staff's behavior and training policies. Respect isn't optional. It's the foundation of good business. Daniels's coffee cup slipped from his hand, spilling across the table. Lisa turned to him slowly. You talked to her like she was nothing. Daniel's face went pale. She's the CEO? She owns the airline? Lisa nodded. She owns half the planes parked outside right now. The supervisor stormed into the room, voice booming. Daniels, what the hell did you do? The airport director just got off a call with corporate. They're launching an investigation. The board wants your badge on their desk by end of day. Daniels stammered. I didn't know who she was. The supervisor glared. That's the point. You shouldn't have to. Across the terminal, reporters gathered near Gate 12 as Ava prepared to board her private jet, Aurora 1. The sunlight glinted off its silver wings as her team followed behind, phones ringing nonstop. One assistant whispered, Ma'am, the news is everywhere. Do you want to issue another statement? Ava shook her head. No need. The message is clear enough. As she reached the stairs, she paused for a moment, looking back through the terminal glass. From this distance, Daniels was just another figure among many. Small, ordinary, forgettable. She turned to her pilot. Let's go home. The engines roared to life. Inside the cabin, Ava sat by the window, the hum of the jet steady beneath her. She closed her eyes and let the weight of the morning fade away. Her phone buzzed again, a text from her board of directors. Support your decision 100%. Proud of you for standing your ground. She smiled faintly and typed back. Dignity isn't negotiable. Below, as the jet lifted off, Daniel stood outside on the curb, the wind from the engines whipping his uniform. He watched helplessly as the plane rose higher, the Aurora Air logo shining bright on the tail, the same logo printed on the lanyard around his own neck. The irony stung like a burn. He pulled out his phone, notifications exploding. Videos of him yelling at Ava had gone viral. Hashtags filled the screen. Respect Ava, Aurora Air, Karma Story. He scrolled through comments. Imagine disrespecting a billionaire because she didn't look like one. This is why humility matters. Power doesn't always wear a suit. For a long moment, Daniels just stood there, silent, staring up at the sky. The sound of the departing jet faded into nothing. He finally whispered, almost to himself, I should have just done my job. Miles above, Ava gazed out the window, clouds rolling beneath her like waves. Her reflection in the glass was calm, proud, unshaken. She whispered softly, They see what they want to see, but I know who I am. The camera would fade out on that moment, her voice echoing like a lesson to the audience. Never underestimate quiet strength. It doesn't shout. It changes the world in silence. Fade to black.